You were there. You just can't prove it. You took your first steps. You heard your mother's voice for the first time. You felt cold air on your skin the moment you entered the world. And you remember none of it. Not a single second. This isn't damage. This isn't failure. Every healthy human being on Earth shares this exact blind spot. Scientists call it childhood amnesia, and for most of history, nobody could explain it. Here is what makes it strange. You weren't unconscious. You were learning. Constantly. Infants absorb language, faces, and physics faster than any adult ever could. A 6-month-old already knows when something breaks the rules of the world. They notice when an object passes through a wall. They track moving faces with precision. But ask any adult to recall their second birthday, and the mind returns blank. Where did those years go? The first real clue came in 1984. Psychologist Ulrich Neisser began studying what he called autobiographical memory, the kind of memory that feels like a story you tell about yourself. He found that almost no one could recall anything before age 3. Most people's earliest memory sits somewhere between 3.5 and 4 years old. That meant entire years of human experience were vanishing, systematically, in every person tested. For decades, the leading theory was simple. Babies don't have the brain structures for long-term memory. The hippocampus, the region responsible for forming memories, was thought to be too underdeveloped to store anything worth keeping. Then the 2014 study changed everything. Researchers Paul Frankland and Josselyn at the Hospital for Sick Children in Toronto discovered something unexpected. The problem wasn't that babies couldn't form memories. They could. The problem was that their brains were growing too fast. Here was what they found. In early childhood, the hippocampus is generating new neurons at an extraordinary rate. This process is called neurogenesis. And neurogenesis, it turns out, actively destroys existing memories to make room for new ones. Think of it like a city that tears down buildings faster than it can photograph them. The memories form, they exist, and then the growing brain overwrites them. Not out of neglect, but because it is building something bigger. Frankland and Josselyn tested this in mice. Young mice forgot learned tasks far faster than adult mice. When the researchers artificially slowed neurogenesis in the young mice, memory retention improved dramatically. When they boosted neurogenesis in adult mice, the adults started forgetting like infants. The mechanism was real. The brain erases its own earliest chapters on purpose. But there is a second layer to this. Memory is not just biology. It is also language. Psychologist Patricia Bauer at Emory University spent decades studying how children begin to narrate their own lives. Her research showed that memories don't become stable and retrievable until a child has the language to describe them. Without words, an experience has no anchor. It drifts. It dissolves. This is why children raised in cultures where parents tell stories about the past, where families sit together and say, "Do you remember when we went to the lake?" tend to develop earlier and richer autobiographical memories than children raised in cultures where the past is not discussed. Your earliest memories weren't just formed in your brain. They were formed in conversation. So where does that leave you? You experienced 3 full years of life. You felt joy and fear and hunger and warmth. You formed attachments that shaped your entire personality. You learned the rules of the physical world. You learned who was safe and who was not. And the brain that absorbed all of that quietly erased the footage while building itself into something capable of remembering everything that came after. Here is the part that should stop you cold. The person you are right now, your fears, your instincts, your earliest sense of whether the world is safe, was assembled during the years you cannot access. It is proof that your beginning mattered so much. Your brain spent years just trying to handle it.